Good evening. There's been a massive suicide attack in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Reports that are coming in from Islamabad and some of the images that we are about to show you are shocking, they're disturbing, and we urge viewer discretion. At least 31 people are feared dead. The death toll sadly could go higher because the number of injured and those who are critical is alarmingly high. According to hospital staff, at least 170 people have been injured. The suicide bomber reached the Shia Mosque, the Shia Imam Bargah in Islamabad, and this happened at the time of the Jummah prayers. Police said the attacker was stopped at the gate of the Imam Bargah, but he detonated the explosive, and that triggered a massive blast in that area. There was a blast inside the mosque and reports of firing outside. Eyewitnesses say that the assailants, they opened fire before this one assailant blew himself up, and there were bodies that are scattered all around. We urge viewer discretion. They didn't have enough ambulances, as you can see in these images. Since it's Friday prayers and Jummah namaz, a large number of people had gathered there for this prayer. In the afternoon, rescue teams, they've taken those who are wounded to hospital. A state of emergency has now been declared across the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad. This terror attack happened, incidentally, during the very high-profile visit, according to Pakistan, of the president of Uzbekistan. And this triggered a bigger alarm. Was there a bigger message in this blast? Police say no terrorist group has so far claimed responsibility. They suspect it's either the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan against this organization. The Pakistan Army is planning a massive operation in the Tira Valley area or along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border where tensions have spiked. Or they suspect it could be the ISIS, the Islamic State, but the Khorasan province that, according to some reports, had also tied up with ISI to hunt down and target other terrorist organizations. So the aim could be to trigger sectarian Shia-Sunni violence in Pakistan. I must also tell you at this point, there are a large number of internally displaced people. The IDPs in Pakistan, those who've been displaced because of Tira Valley operations and others, people who've also been displaced from the Khurram Agency region, they are staying around the Shia-dominated locality of the Imam Bargah. This is not in the heart of Islamabad, but this is in the Islamabad capital region, on the outskirts of the main city. There has been massive security that's been put in place, but despite this massive security, despite a red alert, the blast took place. We're told that there was another blast, you'd recall, in November 2025, again in Islamabad, and that time the district court was targeted. About 12 to 15 people had been killed and injured even in that blast. The blast this afternoon, we are told the condition of at least 20 injured is extremely critical. So the death toll, sadly, is expected to rise. I get you more in this report.
Pakistan on the edge tonight. From the capital, Islamabad, to insurgency hit Balochistan, the country staring at a widening security crisis. A powerful suicide blast inside the Shia Imam Bargah during Friday prayers killed at least 31 people and left more than 100 injured in Islamabad. Hospitals are on high alert. The area has been sealed by security forces, and officials warn the death toll could rise. Even as Pakistan's leadership says terror cannot break national resolve, the situation on the ground tells a far more troubling story. In Balochistan, train services have been suspended yet again. Mobile internet shutdowns continues as BLA attacks have triggered sweeping military operations, leaving civilians and security personnel dead. The rising attacks makes one wonder if Field Marshal General Asim Munir losing control of Pakistan's security landscape. Sections of Pakistan's own media are raising allegations of a possible false flag distraction to divert attention from Balochistan. from a bomb-hit capital to a province sleeping further into unrest. One question is growing louder tonight. Is General Asim Munir losing the plot? Bureau Report, India Today.
Pakistan is a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror. It's widely criticized world over being the global epicenter of terror. But that same Pakistan today is witnessing instability, and it's not just restricted to one part of Pakistan. I mean, when you look at the map of Pakistan, all the way from Gilgit-Baltistan in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir down to Muzaffarabad, and we'll show you every province. So there is trouble in Gilgit-Baltistan, there is trouble in Baluchistan, in Sindh, in Pakistan's Punjab province, for example, what's just happened in Islamabad, this devastating suicide blast inside a Shia mosque. At least 30 killed, 169 plus injured. Though security has been tightened now in and around Islamabad, the Punjab province remains on the edge. Just a couple of months back, you had the Tehreek-e-Labbaik protest that had taken place. But now let me take you to Baluchistan. In Baluchistan, you saw Operation Herof 2.0, Operation Black Storm. And literally like a black storm, you had Baluch freedom fighters or the Baloch Liberation Army that came and targeted the security forces and establishment from Quetta, from the top of Baluchistan, all the way down to Gwadar and Pasni, through Mastung, Turbat, so many other parts of Baluchistan. In fact, even today, train services remain suspended in Baluchistan. The mobile internet, it's still not back in operation. According to the Baloch Liberation Army, they've neutralized more than 280 Pakistani security forces personnel. Of course, Pakistani security forces say about 20 Pakistani security forces personnel made the supreme sacrifice of their lives. They claim they've killed more than 200 Baloch fighters in Operation Herof 2.0. Now let's shift focus and take you to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, because the Durand line is also on fire. So military action is anticipated in Tira Valley. Mosque loudspeakers are being used very extensively to get people, women, children, the elderly, and it's biting cold, sub-zero temperature, and people have been forced to leave their houses so that the Pakistan army can move in and carry out an operation against the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. But then this uncertainty is also fueling anger and instability. In Gilgit and Baltistan, unrest is deepening. There's economic uncertainty. People are very cut up that their land is being taken away, in some cases being given for Chinese projects, and that incidentally is Indian territory in illegal occupation of the Pakistani state. Gilgit-Baltistan is a part of Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir that Pakistan calls its northern areas. Let me now then take you to the AFPAC border region. That's on fire. Repeated clashes between Taliban, not just TTA, Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan, but TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and the Pakistani security forces. That's leading to trouble. So trouble in KPK, trouble in Baluchistan, Sindh, there's a freedom movement that's on, Punjab now burning, and of course Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, including Gilgit and Baltistan. Let me now bring in our guests on this special broadcast and try and understand what's happening in Pakistan through the eyes of experts who've analyzed Pakistan all their lives as a career. Tilak Devashir is former Special Secretary of the Research and Analysis Wing, former member of the National Security Advisory Board and author of 5 books on Pakistan. Sushant Sareen is Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Mona Alam joins us from Pakistan. Mona, welcome. A very troubled day. Our condolences for the loss of lives in Pakistan. Mona, what can you tell us about the deadly blast in Islamabad?
Thank you, Gaurav, and I really appreciate that you've paid condolences for the martyrs and for everyone who's injured. And it's indeed a very horrific attack here in Islamabad. It is unprecedented. It is along sectarian lines. And we also see that there is, of course, a certain pattern to it, because there is an insurgency in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. There's also been a series of deadly attacks in Balochistan. and now this which we are facing here in Islamabad. So of course we do see a certain pattern to it, but this of course is along sectarian lines, which sets it apart from the rest of the attacks that have happened. But of course, no, I think the reason should be stemmed out, and we also do not rule out the involvement of certain foreign agencies in all such attacks, especially
in
when
this
it is along
particular in this
sectarian lines.
particular instance, Mona, why was this particular Imam Bargah, in your view or in the view of agencies in Pakistan, targeted? And was it by TTP or ISKP, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, or the Islamic State Khorasan province?
Well, TTP hasn't claimed any responsibility for such an attack, and which, of course, is not the case in their generic attack patterns. I mean, they always come up and claim responsibility for whatever attacks that they do. So, initial reports are suggesting, of course, these are very premature at this point in time, that it may, go to ISKP, ISIS. Khorasan, I do think that initial reports signal towards their involvement, but of course that again is premature, and I think it is not very wise to put the blame on anyone as such at this point in time. We will wait for the investigations to roll out and for investigations to mature at this point in time, and then of course we'll be able to give a certain comment as to who was involved in this very horrific
Stay
sectarian
with
attack.
me. Let me also bring in Mr. Tilak Devashir and Sushant, Sareen. Mr. Tilak Devashir, targeting a Shia Imam Bargah during the Friday Jummah prayers in Islamabad, do you see this as just a random strike or a targeted strike intended to send out a signal? And if so, what signal and to who, sir?
You see, certainly is a signal, Gaurav, because and Friday is, as in the past we have seen, that whenever blasts take place in mosque, it's always on a Friday, which is a day of prayer when everybody gathers together over there. So that is one. Now, as I would agree with Mona that today, right now, we can't sort of say, but in all likelihood, I mean, this is my assessment, no information, that it will be the ISKP. And I'll give you a small background. You know, if you link the dots, the Tira Valley is being, people are being shifted out of Tira Valley. One view is that this is not just to conduct an operation, but this has actually been to resettle the ISKP in
Oh.
this particular area. And earlier there were reports that the ISKP had also set up base in Balochistan till people got wind of it, and now they're shifting the ISKP to Tira. But then the surprising information that I got was that some of the people of the ISKP have actually been killed by the Pakistan army to show to the US that how effective they are against the ISKP. So this could be a revenge killing by the ISKP. Now, a lot of dots have been connected on very thin evidence. We probably need to get more evidence. But I would put, if I were to bet, I would put it at the ISKP.
There were some reports, Sushant, Sareen, and they may have been unconfirmed. They may have come from rival sources that seem to indicate that the ISI had reached out to ISKP, Pakistan's ISI, to use them to target the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan in the Northwest Frontier province. Now, Islamabad has been targeted even earlier. Most recently in November, a blast in the district court killed close to a dozen people, if not more. Is Pakistan on the brink? And your reading of the ISI said to be meeting ISIS or ISKP in to target Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan?
So, Gaurav, look, Pakistan in many cases is a witch's brew. You can't, it's very difficult to say who is behind it. There is one particular report which is calling it a false flag attack. There's this former army officer who's been very closely connected with the Pakistan deep state in the past and now has fallen out with them. And very often his information turns out to be correct. And a couple of days back, he had said there could be a spectacular attack which the Pakistanis will carry out on themselves. So in that case, it becomes a false flag attack for some nefarious purposes that the Pakistani state is notorious for. That is one possibility. The second is, of course, TTP. But the TTP has already issued a denial that they had anything to do with this attack, which leaves the ISK. Now, the ISK, as you very correctly point out, not just in the Tira Valley, but in Balochistan, for example, they were being placed out there very strategically until the Baloch freedom fighters came and got rid of them and started targeting them. And the TTP guys also started targeting the ISKP fellows because they are at odds with each other. And then these guys were being shifted, as Mr. Deveshwar is saying, to the Tira Valley region. And there were all kinds of information which was coming out, published reports as well. And it could very well be, as Mr. Deveshwar points out, that this kind of a tit for tat between the ISI and the ISIS, and Mona very, I think it was a Freudian slip from her because she said it could be ISI, ISIS. So maybe it was a Freudian slip. Maybe she wanted to say it. I don't know. But yeah, it is entirely possible that this could be one of the internal conflicts between two
Okay.
parts of the ISI, which is the singular ISI and the plural ISIS. So we'll have to wait and see. Let us see who takes responsibility for it. But please also remember, uh, I was just seeing reports from Pakistan actually, which says that just about a kilometer away from where this attack took place, and this is not the first time this area has been attacked,
Yes.
there was a big congregation of Sunni extremists who are meeting in Islamabad under the eyes of uh, the all-conquering field marshal, who himself is known to have sectarian leanings. So you allow these Sunni extremist groups to meet in Islamabad
Okay.
to do hate speech in Islamabad, and then you crib about pata nahi kaun hai, who has come, fitna al Khawarij, fitna al Hindustan, fitna al America, fitna al Israel. They just keep it should ideally be fitna al Pakistan Fauj,
Let
because
me
these
get
are
Mona to
people
respond.
created by the
Okay.
Pakistan army and been spread out there.
Okay, Mona, trouble in Islamabad, trouble in KPK, Pakistani media, incidentally, I think you've also reported and some others that mosque loudspeakers were used to tell people to leave the Tira Valley because there is some operation that's likely to happen. These were some reports which your defense minister said it's normal, people leave in winters. But would you want to respond to that former ISI officer that Sushant Sareen was also referring to, who said this could well be a false flag operation?
Well, I'm amazed to say the least that out of some malicious intention, Mr. Sareen wants to eliminate the last S in ISIS, but it'll never happen. And thank you for giving me this humor moments in these dark hours in my country. But of course, sadly, no reality to all these cooked up and doctored stories that are coming up, and I'm rather amazed that the kind of angling that's been given to all of this. He also pointed out that the former ISI fellow. I suppose he's speaking about Adil Raja, who himself is, I think, facing serious defamation charges in the UK for all sorts of doctored and fake news, and he's under, in fact, I think, heavy defamation fine that's up to him to pay. And I also saw him seeking some monetary help in one of his ex posts. So such is the bizarre scenario of your most reliable source, which is being
No, no,
quoted
we're
by
only
utmost.
asking. India has, he's a Pakistani, you're from
But yeah, he's
Pakistan.
a
It has nothing to do
disgruntled
with
guy.
us. We are only
He's a
asking you.
disgruntled guy. He, of
Okay,
course,
so
has
we
his
are only
own
asking
reasons
you
to be
what is
disgruntled.
happening since this is
Yeah.
information that's coming in from there. We are not taking any
Of course.
sides
So
in this.
I was only trying to explain as to why his information is bogus and fictitious of the highest
Sure.
order. That's
But the
about it.
point
But
that, the point that both Mr. Devashir and Sushant raised was trouble in Islamabad, trouble in KPK, trouble in Baluchistan,
of
the
course, I myself have spelled
Sindhis.
out that I see a certain pattern to it. In my initial remark, as you may note, that I also spelled out the same, that I do see a certain pattern to it. It's not coincidental that these attacks are happening one after another. First in Pakhtunkhwa, then in Balochistan. And Pakhtunkhwa, of course, is constantly under fire. This, of course, I will also be very open and candid to the fact that there seems to be this lack of harmony between the provincial government and the federal government as far as KP is concerned, because they seem to be operating on extremely different poles apart strategies, which needs to be reconciled. This is, of course, a major reason as to why all of this is happening in KP in such a mannered manner. But having said that, I think Mr. Sareen also pointed out that Field Marshal and under his nose, certain sectarian speeches are happening
In
against the
Islamabad.
Shia Muslims. Yeah, but we are all aware that the Interior Minister himself is a Shia Muslim, a practicing Shia Muslim indeed, Mohsin Naqvi, and Field Marshal as well. He's wedded, he's married into a Shia family. This is a very known fact to all of us, even internationally to all of you. So this theory dies out on its own if you come to know of their
Okay.
own family linkages.
Sure. So, Sushant, do you want to quickly respond before I bring in Mr. Tilak Devashir on this, that the Interior Minister is a Shia and the Field Marshal also, has family links?
He's married in a Shia
Yeah,
family.
Yes.
he could be married anywhere, but when you are in power, these other loyalties have no meaning because you have to stay on in power. So then you even deal with the devil, and I can give you many, many instances of this kind of a thing happening inside Pakistan. So but if that is the fig leaf that you want to hide behind, you're welcome to it. Second, this complete denialism which is there in Pakistan about the involvement of their own deep state and their visible state, forget the deep state, in all kinds of nefarious activity. The other day we were hearing that defense minister of theirs talking about giving this speech in parliament about how these smuggling networks and in which the bureaucracy, the security services, everybody is involved. He did not have the fortitude to name who is actually running Balochistan. It is the Pakistan army which is running Balochistan. If smuggling is happening in Balochistan, it is under the nose of Pakistan army.
Big story that's coming in. Young Turks of India make India proud. The boys in blue, they lift the under-19 World Cup, and how? In such style. India under-19, they beat England by 100 runs. This is the 6th under-19 World Cup for Team India. But this is special. This is extra special. Why is this extra special? Because a one-man called Vaibhav Suryavanshi. I want to tell you more about that 14-year-old. Watch that 14-year-old. Vaibhav Suryavanshi is the next big star on the horizon. Vaibhav Suryavanshi delivered a knock for the ages. He's all of 40. A stunning 175 from just 80 balls in the under-19 World Cup final against England. And this had to be seen to be believed. Watch that youngster. He's all of 14. He's all of 14. He hammered 15 sixes and 15 fours. You know what was his strike rate? A strike rate of 218.75. Brutal, and yet breathtaking knock. And this is the Harare Sports Club in Zimbabwe. I want to quickly bring in Nikhil Naaz, our sports editor on this. Nikhil, this is spectacular. The win is spectacular, but Vaibhav Suryavanshi is even more spectacular. The first 24 of 24 balls, and then the last 151 just of 56 deliveries.
Well, that's right, Gaurav. If I start talking about Vaibhav Suryavanshi, I might just eat up your entire show. I mean, that's how special that young boy is. But most importantly, I think, I'm just looking at those pictures right now on the television screen of the entire Indian squad celebrating there. And I think those are pictures that will stay in our minds for a very, very long time. Remember, India, even before going into this final, were the most successful team in the history of the competition, having won this under 19 World Cup title 5 times. The next best, of course, Australia, having won 4 times. Now they've extended their lead on the top. This is the 6th title that India have won at the under 19 level. And now my mind goes back all the way to the year 2000. That's the first time India won that title. It gave us big names. Mohammad Kaif was the captain. A certain Yuvraj Singh was part of that squad. That's when they first won that title. And since then, India have had a rich history of winning titles. I can rattle off names, players like Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja, Prithvi Shaw, Unmukh Chand, all the captains that were there at one point to help India win that title. Yashdul was the last Indian captain to win the title. And I think why this is special, because the last edition in 2024, India came very close, reached the final, and yet could not get their hands on the trophy. This time, they've gone one better. And I must tell you, even though India came into this tournament, Gaurav, as the most successful team in the history of this tournament, yet they weren't the favorites. Why? Because you had a under 19 Asia Cup before this particular World Cup, and on that occasion India faltered in the final. They had been looking like a good team, but come the final day they faltered. So there were these doubts that can this team on the big day put one across the opponent, and they've shown it, and they've done it in style. I think the testament to this team's temperament as well as quality is the fact that on a final day, when there are so much nerves, you speak about Vaibhav Suryavanshi, but India have notched up 411 runs, a record at that. So that tells you that not only are these talented players, they also have nerves of steel.
They have nerves of steel, and every youngster you've mentioned in under 19 with these nerves of steel, actually they've done so well when they became a part of the India team too subsequently. But for a moment, let's talk about Vaibhav Suryavanshi. He's all of 14, 175 runs of just 80 balls. What do you make of this 14-year-old?
I am going to use a word for him, and that is a freak. And that's in a very good sense of the word. And I'll tell you why. Over the years of having watched cricket, covered cricket, I've seen many attacking batters, not just from India, from across the globe, and aggressive batters at that, who bat at a high strike rate, as you just mentioned. There have been other batters too that have batted at very high strike rate. But I think two things that make this particular player very different to any player that I've seen till now. And I know a lot of people might say that, listen, this is still the under 19 level, but I might remind them that he's done some outrageous thing in the IPL as well when he's playing with the big boys. Now, to the thing, what makes him different? I think one is fearlessness. Yes, you've had attacking batters who take charge, who attack bowlers when they get the opportunity. But I've not seen a batter who just comes with a mindset that I'm only going to attack. There is not a single defensive bone in his body. And I don't think I can say for any other batter before this to have this ability. Secondly, as I said, you've had attacking batters that can clear the ground, hit big sixes, hit plenty of sixes, plenty of fours. But you know what makes this player different is there are certain deliveries, no matter how good a batter you are, you could have been Sachin Tendulkar, Viv Richards, whoever you'd like. There are certain deliveries that are almost impossible to hit. I'll give you an example. A slow off cutter by a fast bowler, bang in the middle of the pitch. That's a loopy, slow off cutter. That ball has no business going over the boundary line, no matter who the batter. Vaibhav Suryavanshi hits the most outrageous shot down the ground to a short pitch delivery like that, which is a slow one, because for a slow one, you really need to pack a punch. And he clears the boundary. Something that you think he'll sky it. Most other batters, I say, will sky the ball, he'll be out, but he hits it for a six. So certain shots you've never seen in your life is something that is Vaibhav Suryavanshi is doing. And that's why I say he's a freak of nature. He's extra special. It's not just about his age. Had he been 17, 18, 19, I still would have said the same thing, because some of his strokes, his mindset is something that I've never seen before. It's his mindset.
It's almost like artificial intelligence at play. He's able to judge the ball so quickly, and that supercomputer in his head, it tells him how to tackle it. But he's like all of 14, 15 sixes, 15 fours, strike rate of 218.75, but he kept his head very, squarely on his shoulders. The first 24 balls, he scored only 24 runs. And then he started hitting 151 of 56 deliveries. So he understood the game, the pitch first, and then went out, didn't he?
Yeah, that's correct, Gaurav. I mean, that I think was slightly unusual. I also can't remember, in the IPL that I've seen or at the India A level or the under-19s level. Now he's played a lot of cricket, domestic cricket also. We've been keeping a track of him. I don't think I've ever seen him go 24 balls for 24 runs to begin with. I mean, so in that sense, I think it took note of the situation that today is the big day and I have to carry on my shoulders the burden of the entire batting line. That's not to say there are not other star batters in this team. It's absolutely packed with a lot of good players. But I think he realized that I'm the X factor. Today, I have to just give myself that little luxury of 24 deliveries, which he did. And after that, just take a look at it. 15 sixes, 15 fours. He scored 175, 150 runs only of boundaries. He just doesn't want to run. I think he hates to run. And he says, why do I need to run when I can just smack the ball for fours and sixes? And that's exactly
I'm sure England
what
didn't
he's
know
done.
what hit them. England just didn't know what hit them. I think this is the sixth highest score also, if my memory serves me right. But for a moment, images at Ayush Mahatre's house in Mumbai. Nikhil, I want you to describe these images for our viewers. I mean, just how ecstatic is everyone. The family, these are tears of joy. But beyond tears of joy, there's happiness because Indian cricket is so safe in these hands.
That's true, Gaurav. It's heartening to see. Again, Ayush Matre is a great example of humble beginnings. And I think that's the story of Indian cricket. I can, think of so many names that come from cities like Mumbai, now Vaibhav from Patna. You've had, players come from Punjab, just as you see this team. And in fact, that's also the speciality of this team. You've got a pan-India representation in this particular team and talent coming from across the country. And
Nikhil,
Ayush
I want
Matre,
all our viewers to listen in to this India. And you're right, this is, India at 411 for 9 in 50 overs is the fifth highest total in under-19 World Cup. Listen in to the happiness in Mumbai and across the country.
Even lost my marriage in the entire process. What do I have left with to pursue to find my brother? We don't have parents, it's just him and me. He's my only family. Our soldiers are not just an IC number just because they are veterans. So if they get into any trouble, the nation needs to stand behind them. It's been 16 plus months. He deserves to dignifiedly return to his country. And this is my hands-folded request to our leadership. This is my brother's insignia, units, battalion insignia. This is my father's, the Kumaon Regiment, and this is my grandfather's, the Rajputana Rifles. And I'm very proud to be a Fauji daughter. Without our government's blessings, without Modi ji's support and his blessings, without our MEA's blessings, we can't do this. And I know now that things are aligning. Dumpy, Didi is with you. The whole country is with you. I will do everything. I will move mountains to get you back.
So the Delhi High Court has directed the Ministry of External Affairs to issue an order to appoint a legal firm to represent actor Celina Jaitly's brother, Major Vikrant Jaitly. He's a former Special Forces commando detained in the United Arab Emirates since September 2024. The actor's petition claimed that her brother, a fourth-generation Indian Army officer, now retired, had illegally been taken and detained in the UAE since September 2024. She told the court, despite more than a year having passed, the centre had failed to obtain even basic information about his welfare or legal status. An alumnus of the Kendriya Vidyalaya at IIT Kharagpur, Major Jaitley received his military training at the Military College of Telecommunication Engineering and was commissioned in the Corps of Signals, but voluntarily opted for the infantry and was part of the Special Forces. Celina Jaitly, a Varid sister, now joins me on this special broadcast. Celina, welcome.
Thank you for having me here, Gaurav.
Tell me, Celina, what happened? I mean, your brother was in the UAE. What was he doing in the UAE, and then what happened?
He was working for a company founded by his wife in 2016 called the Matiti Group. And it seems like I have been trapped in a script of a film, because these things only for someone like me happen, or for anyone, if they would happen to them, would happen only in a script in a film. And I have been living it since September 2024, since he was taken.
And why? I mean, where was he taken from? What happened? What did you hear?
So I got a call an entire month after he was taken, that they were at the shopping mall, at a mall called Mall of Emirates, and when they walked towards the parking, there was a black car waiting there for them. And they came and asked him for his identity card and Emirates ID. He was asked to get into the car. And then that followed 9 months of detainment, where, under what pretext, for what reason. It was pretty much incommunicado, pretty much without any record of any sort of legal arrest. And only in 2025, in June, did I get to know that he's been remitted after 9 months of arbitrary detention into a detention center in Abu Dhabi.
So his family, his wife in Abu Dhabi or Dubai,
Yes.
In the UAE, were you in touch with her? What efforts did all of you make to secure his release or to find out where he was?
I got to know only a month after Vikrant was taken. So obviously it was a big shock to me. For 24 hours, I was in immense shock. Following that, the first thing that logically came to me was that what I asked my sister-in-law what she had done. So she said she had informed the embassy, and they will be filing for a note for bail soon to the authorities. And as a sister, I don't understand diplomatic communication when my own emotions are involved. I do understand that there is very specific legal and diplomatic frameworks under which MEA has to operate. I understand that. But when your own loved one is involved in that, your mind doesn't work according to those frameworks. So what came to me was that let's file a habeas corpus. Yeah. And the wife was not comfortable filing a habeas corpus at that moment for reasons known best to her. And I was going through a very difficult time in my marriage as well, because my husband had worked all his life in the UAE. And I was asked to, disown my brother. I was asked to remove my Jaitly surname from my son's names. I was asked to either do that or take the highway. And how can I disown my own brother? And this whole thing was very arbitrary. It did not make any sense what was happening. Why was it happening? I thought it was a joke. I started following whatever protocol is required in a situation like this, approaching the authorities, the embassy, the Ministry of External Affairs. Then when I received no response whatsoever, in November, I filed a grievance with the Madad grievance portal. And that's the first time then I received a response through the portal.
My God. I mean, you reached out to the Indian mission in the UAE, to the Ministry of External Affairs in Delhi, and no response.
None of my emails received a response in the month of October and beginning of November until I filed a grievance with the Madad portal. Thereafter, the only responses I did receive were templatized from the Madad portal, but it was not much information of a loved one when you get only one thing, and that is, we have sent a communication and right now we don't have any information.
So the authorities didn't respond on the other side either?
There was no response from the other side either, not that I know of. I had only one way to have any little update, and that was just through the Madad grievance portal. So a portal was responding to me. And thereafter, in 2025, Vikrant was, through the portal, I got to know that Vikrant was remitted to Al-Watfa Detention Center in Abu Dhabi. And thereafter, they did 2-3 consular accesses to assess what is happening. But still, there was no clarity in the legal aspect of why he's being detained, for what. Is there some, what do you call it? Is there some, has he been prosecuted? Is there a detainee number? I had no information whatsoever. And I don't think anyone, anywhere in the world, should be detained without legal representation.
True.
They should have right to, I should have right to speak to my brother. I should have right to see if we can apply for bail. It had already almost a year had passed and nothing had happened. And thereafter, when I did not receive, my number of questions kept growing, Gaurav. What is happening? Why do we not have any answers? Is somebody doing something? Can I get at least some inkling? Is somebody doing something for him?
Yeah.
Because I understand if Vikrant has done something wrong and we have a case in front of us, he's being prosecuted for X, Y, Z. There was just one pretext of national security. That's it.
That's a very grave thing for anyone to hear.
And that too, after 9 months of arbitrary detention. Don't know where he is. I tried to look for Vikrant everywhere in the UAE. In police stations, they had no record of him being arrested.
So you flew to UAE to...
I could not fly because I had no access to any funds. My husband had stopped access to all my funds at that point. So I was trying to do through all my contacts, my goodwill, my relationships, banging on every door that I could. I did that because of course I will do that. He's my brother. I can't abandon my brother. I will continue to knock on every door. Thereafter, I came, when he was remitted to Al-Watpa detention center, I came to India. And I went and met the authorities here also. And then I didn't have any clarity with regards to his legal status. What is he in for? And unless I meet him, I don't know what state of mind, what state, physical state he is in. I can't go by some general statements that he is okay because he's been incommunicado for almost 9 months.
And then you approached courts of law here.
Then I approached in 2025, October, we filed a writ petition with the Honorable High Court. And this is not an adversary writ in any way. This is a sister desperate for answers. I have even lost my marriage in the entire process. What do I have left with to pursue to find my brother? We don't have parents, it's just him and me. He's my only family. So I had no option but to follow the system, to take help of the system and approach the authorities through the High Court to have answers, to meet my brother and to give him the aid and the dignity that he deserves.
So when you approach courts, I believe courts then directed that the Ministry of External Affairs should at least help facilitate a phone conversation between siblings, between you and your brother.
Yes.
Has that happened? Did that happen?
Unfortunately, that has not gone through yet. And now with the appointment of Khalid Al-Mari Partners and Advocates with day before yesterday's High Court order, I think everything will now fall into place because once MEA has been ordered to appoint Khalid Al-Mari Partners and Advocates, I think this is a very non-adversary and non-confrontational stance because it gives the judicial, you see, Ministry of External Affairs operates within very specific legal and diplomatic frameworks. So with this order, they will also have the judicial clarity to, sort of enforce in a joint coordinated effort for whatever steps need to be taken for the release of Major Vikrant.
Till date, you have absolutely no idea why he was picked up, why he was detained, where was he taken? Of course, until it happened through courts, but why was he picked up? You have no idea. Where was he working? What was he doing in the UAE?
So as I told you, he was working for a company which was founded by his wife in 2016, Matiti Group International. They were into human resources, risk management, IT, information technology, and they had many verticals. That's what he was doing. And what I know about my brother's matter is only one thing. There is one prosecution number that I have right now, and I have a terminology called national security. That's it.
And you have absolutely no idea what aspect of national security is this. But tell me this, in court, when you sought the appointment of a legal firm, and I believe that legal firm in the UAE is now representing you pro bono. They're not charging any money. Is that
Yes.
true?
You won't believe, I went with our defense counsel in India, Mr. Raghav Kakar. We went to meet the ambassador of India. After the second High Court order, the ambassador, Dr. Deepa Mittal, very kindly, His Excellency, agreed to meet me, and he gave me a lot of his time. I went and met him in Abu Dhabi. And after the meeting, we were also made to understand that Vikrant needs legal representation, and nothing has been appointed so far. So, with the help of our counsel in India, Mr. Raghav Kakar, we started meeting law firms. Each law firm started asking for humongous amount, millions of dirhams. I right now do not even have the finances of my own, given my current personal trials and tribulations with my ongoing proceedings with my husband. And I didn't know that where am I going to arrange 2 million dirhams, 1 million dirham in an escrow account with 500,000 dirhams. And then we met Khalid Al-Mari partners and advocates. Two of their Indian partners, they said, we want to do this for our soldier. And Khalid Saab, he believes in the relationship and the brotherhood of India and UAE. And he believes that he will be given the good relationship and the camaraderie between the two regions. He wants to be the bridge between the two nations. And he believes in justice beyond borders. He believes in dignity. And he feels that he should be able to work together to restore Vikrant's dignity and find out the reason why and bring him back intact to India.
Oh, absolutely. In between, but there was some issue that cropped up in court here with the Ministry of External Affairs submitting in court that Major Vikrant apparently said that he wanted a firm to be chosen by his wife.
Yes.
And you wanted a firm to be chosen, a different firm to be chosen.
No, absolutely not.
No.
There's nothing like that. I'll tell you what. The thing is this, that we were waiting, I was waiting for an entire 16 plus month for his wife to appoint a legal firm for Vikrant. You see, that's where the difference is. And that legal firm till date, despite the embassy having given her on the 19th of December, an email was sent to her. They also gave a lot of options for appointing a legal firm, and no legal firm till date was appointed for Vikrant. Probably financial constraints or reasons known best to her. But when we have a legal firm in place, why should we delay? A person is in a prison, a soldier of our country who's given his entire life is undignifiedly behind bars in a foreign jail without prosecution, without anything. Can we just leave him like that? It's a human right. Even under the Vienna Convention, it's a human right to have legal representation. And I want him to have his dignity intact. And that's what I am standing for. I'm not standing for it should be done my way. I'm standing for what basic human courtesy that soldier of our country needs right now.
So, I'm sure you know that India and UAE are very close strategic partners. The president of the UAE was here some time back, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan.
Yes.
And he and the Prime Minister are very, very close. So have you tried to reach out to either seeking their intervention?
I needed to have clarity from the Ministry of External Affairs, which now everything is falling into place, because without clarity, without them giving me the blessing, how could I just go directly to the PM or the leadership, the benevolent leadership of UAE? I myself have lived in the UAE for many years after my marriage. All my sons were born in Dubai. It's one of the best countries in the world to live in. No crime, nothing. And I really applaud that, because I've had one of the best years of my life in the UAE. So my request to the benevolent leadership there would only be this: to consider that if this person has not done anything, to let him go, to give him the dignity that he deserves, to give him the rights that he deserves. And to Modi ji, he has been very pro our armed forces. He has given a lot of dignity to our armed forces. I just want to request him today on your show, because now I have the platform to do that that to please bring this soldier back. Vikrant is broken in places from his missions as a para-SF officer. He spent his entire youth in the valley. He's hardly had any peace postings. His legs, his body is broken in places. He has served, I belong to 4 generations. My father is a war veteran from 1971. My father was wounded in the war. My grandfather fought 62, 65 war. Based on that, when the soldier is, if he would have done something, there would have been a prosecution till now. It's been 16 plus months. He deserves to dignifiedly return to his country. And this is my hands-folded request to our leadership, that please bring Major Vikrant Kumar Jaitley back.
It's with great pride. I think you wear his para wings.
Yes, this is my brother's insignia, units, battalion insignia. This is my father's, the Kumaon Regiment, and this is my grandfather's, the Rajputana Rifles. And I'm very proud to be a Fauji daughter, a 4th generation Fauji daughter. I have grown up studying in Kendra Vidyalayas, in Uttarakhand, in Arunachal. If anyone is Indian, I am Indian right down to the very mitochondria of my DNA. So I just want to say this thing, that anyone and all the people who've supported me in this matter, millions of Indians have reached out for Major Vikrant, and I know that their blessings are working, because now finally legal aid is being appointed for Vikrant, and I think we will be able to bring him back. But without our government's blessings, without Modi ji's support and his blessings, without our MEA's blessings, we can't do this. And I know now that things are aligning. I hope, and thanks to you also, thanks Gaurav for having me here, but things will now align.
God willing, they will. God willing, because you know, I covered the Qatar case also, and in that case also, so many of our armed forces officers, they were put in jail. It took the Prime Minister's intervention that worked, and you've drawn that parallel, haven't you?
Yes.
Why did you draw that parallel, Celina?
Because I have been in touch with some of them. I will not like to take their names, but from the Qatar detentions of our naval officers, it's exactly the same. The pattern seems very similar. The detention process seems very similar. And whatever the reason, I don't know. And whoever knows the reason, I would just say one thing, that our soldiers are not just an IC number just because they are veterans. They are not just an IC number. These are men and women who have given their entire youth in the service of the nation. So if they get into any trouble of this sort, I'm saying, and I'm not talking about any criminal this thing, this trouble, the nation needs to stand behind them openly. And that is all I can say.
And you've never lost hope. You haven't lost heart. You've soldiered on for the past 16 odd months.
Because I believe in the system. I believed in the integrity of the High Court of India. I believe in Ministry of External Affairs. They are bound by their very intricate frameworks in which they have diplomatic and legal frameworks under which they have to operate. So they perhaps needed some sort of judicial clarity, which we have now after going to the High Court. The Madad grievance system works very well. And the only way I started having some proper updates were when I went to Madad. For any update, even though they were templatized, and not enough for assist searching questions, answers to so many questions.
So if you had to, Celina, put out a message to those who can help, what would you say at this point of time?
The first thing that I would like to say is that do not give up hope just because you don't see any support coming from anywhere. There is a system that works. We have to follow that system. It may feel tedious. It may feel, I felt darkness for many days. And I have oscillated between darkness and light, literally not knowing what am I going to do next. But every time I followed the system, I followed the protocols laid down, which you can go and read up on the websites, some or the other answer or a way or some question would be answered. And that worked definitely. Giving up is not the solution. One thing that worked massively in favor of this is coming to the media. And I am so grateful to you that I I have here a platform which is unbiased and listens to you in our country, and that is the media of India.
You went to court, and that's really brave, the manner in which you're dealing with this. A message for your brother, because I believe both of you are so close, and what would you want to tell him if this gets to him?
Dumpy, that's his pet name. Didi is with you. The whole country is with you. I will do everything. I will move mountains to get you back. I am rooting for you. I'm fighting for you. Please remember that you are not alone. An entire country and even your government is standing with you. We are all with you, and we are going to get you back. There are people who have stood day and night for you and fought for you in the courts, in the system. And we all are going to bring you back. Jai Hind, Dumpy, and see you soon. I love you, bhai.
Thank you very much for joining me here on this India Today special broadcast, and I wish you all the best in your effort to bring your brother back. A quick break. The effort, of course, now would be to see how quickly is Major Vikrant Jaitly brought back home, and just look at that lineage. A Special Forces officer from the 3rd Battalion of the Special Forces, then of course father from the Kumaon Regiment, grandfather from the Rajputana Rifles Regiment, and a brave sister who continues to fight for justice. Celina, many thanks for joining me. We'll track the story closely. A quick break. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.